Hey guys, what's up? I'm Kret, and today it's really cold. Blizzard's coming, and I'm sort of in a weird spot in relation to Smite right now, right? Because PTS is out. It the map's very cool. Some of the changes are great. The support changes seem really good, but some of the stuff's weird, right? Like Mannequin Center. There's no way Mannequin Scepter can stay in the game in its current incarnation. It's too strong. Hi-Rez has to know that, right? So. We'll see what changes they make, but right now it's sort of a little bit too between the seasons. I don't really want to talk about season 1. I don't really have enough information to talk about season 2. So let's just talk about the roles. And today it's hunters. So, what is a hunter conceptually? Well, in Smite, a hunter is your dual lane carry. They're generally physical. They do high sustained auto attack DPS. They're responsible for killing towers and objectives, and they're actually fairly safe, right? Like, a character like Mercury will outdamage a hunter in just terms of raw DPS. He has stronger steroids, but the hunter has that range advantage, which balances things out, and they're just more versatile in general. So, going into season 1, the best two hunters, well, I think the standard hunter is Apollo. Let's take a look at what he has in his kit, right? He's got clear, he's got self-peel, he's got global presence that contributes nicely into a team fight, and he's got a steroid to increase his auto attack damage. Um, and that's really what you're looking for in a hunter's kit. That's the majority of it. So his counterpart, the other top level hunter, or the other mainstream hunter, really seems to be Rom, who has clear. He's got self peel and a little bit of the alt. He's got global presence, and he's got a steroid. So he's got all the elements too. Third most played hunter, probably on her late into the season, right? And he doesn't have everything. Well, he's got the clear. He's got the self-peel. All four abilities do that. No global presence. And then the steroid is on Shifting Sands and his passive. So that's there. But it's really Apollo and Rom, and that are the 1 and 2, and I think Apollo's the go-to. He's sort of the benchmark for all the other characters. So those different elements are really what hunters are compared to, right? So like taking a look at Neith, a hunter who didn't see as much play as perhaps some people might have expected going to season 2. Well, she's got the clear, right? Backflip, Spirit Arrow, it's fine. Spirit Arrow, Unravel, that's fine. She's got the self-peel, Backflip and Unravel, and Spirit Arrow. She's got the global presence that's definitely good in a team fight, and honestly her Spirit Arrow is great in a team fight too, but there's no steroid. So she's not able to put out the same level of DPS as Apollo can. You look at Ul, and he's got clear, but it's not as good as on her Apollo, Rama, Neith. He doesn't have global presence. He has great steroids. This combination is really, really good. And his self-peel is decent, but it's not as good as some of the other characters, right? Because it's relying on the thrown axe, which you're often using aggressively, and then it's on cooldown, someone jumps on you, you have trouble. Or you can miss it, it's fairly easy to miss. So, he has trouble. Artemis, Shibalanki, and Cupid are not really played. And AMC we saw at Worlds. And AMC is very unique because it's massive clear, great steroids, utility in a team fight, and honestly burst damage, which is a whole different category. I'd say On Her has burst damage too. But he doesn't have global presence, and he barely has self-peel. Like, you've got Honey, and you go fast, and that's sort of how you peel for yourself. So, not really... He follows a different mold, right? And that's a very specific usage of AMC where he's very good against Apollo and can just control lane and become very intimidating. So that's season 1, right? Your hunters, it's all about having those 4 elements. Clear, perhaps the most controlling one. Like, look at Shibalanki. So Shibalanki has the steroids. He gets up to 80 physical power. He's got the global presence. He's got the self-peel. Rising Jaguar is pretty good, and Darkest of Nights, we can throw that in there too. But the lack of clear, Poison Darts and Branching Bullet not being enough, just hurts him so much that he's not really considered possible. And every hunter that was played with the exception of Ul, who did not do that well in the Pro League, and I don't think appeared at all in Worlds, has pretty much full clear. Full. Going into Season 2, clear was changed. Paul got nerfed very hard. His clear is now weak. Honor got touched, and Rama got touched. Their clear's okay, but it's not as good as it was. Probably down to about Ullr's levels. And then you've got Neith, who got a clear buff and is now very strong, and Amazon Cobb, who is always good at clear. So it seems that Hi-Rez is trying to balance clear out and make it so that it's not just a binary thing. Like, oh, Hunter is clear, he's good. Hunter doesn't have clear, he's bad. And then you're creating characters with high clear, like AMC, who doesn't have self-peel or global presence, and Neith, who, while she has self-peel and global presence, is lacking a steroid. So they're both really lacking something big in their kit. And that's a very interesting circumstance to talk about when it comes to balancing a Hunter. Cupid, Xbalanque, and Artemis, right? Well, let's talk about them. So, no global presence on Artemis. She's got the self-peel. She's got the steroid. That's huge. Her clear is mediocre. It's fine, and she's got, yeah, I guess we can say Trinketer's Fade is a little bit of self-peel as well, so that's there. Cupid, he's got the, I think we can count Heart Bomb as a steroid. It hits pretty hard. He's got a little bit of self-peel. He's got some team fight utility. His clear's okay, like, it's not that bad, and he just brings different stuff to the table, so, you know, that could be okay, assuming that the weakness in clear is not a problem. And Xbalanque, once again, weak clear. Self-peel's decent, great global presence, nice steroid, so, you know, with, if, oh, and New God, cool team fight ult, weaker clear, good steroid. He has self-peel, but it's not very good, and he's got this weird utility nuke ability that's sometimes amazing and is very high skill cap. So if clear was balanced, right? Like if AMC having high clear was fine and Xbalanque having low clear was fine, it feels like there's a pretty good balancing point for these Hunters, and I think that's really what Hi-Rez is going for. To that end, they've removed the blue buff. It's attack speed now. They've nerfed the clear on a lot of the Hunters, except for the two that have very significant downsides. That's the state texting me to tell me that it's snowing. So that's very significant downsides. And in theory, not in practice, but specifically in theory, the Hunter matchups become a lot more interesting. You have a character like AMC who can still get lane control. He's very good. And in my opinion, a little bit too good. He could be toned down, like, slightly. But he's so unsafe, right? So Thor comes along and ganks him, and what does he do? He has to fight because you're not going to get away. You've got a character like Apollo who now has weak clear, but he has a steroid, and he's a great self-peel, and he's got this global presence. So that feels like he's the reverse of AMC, right? AMC has clear and a steroid, but he doesn't have self-peel or global presence, whereas Apollo has a pretty good steroid, he's got great self-peel, he's got a global presence, but he doesn't have the clear. He really doesn't have the clear on the PTS. So it's really interesting. I think that's what Hi-Rez are going for the Hunters, and now the big question is the departure from chin size, right? Chin size got a slight nerf on the PTS. Well, more than slight. It lost 10% attack speed and 1% max health damage. That's kind of a big deal. So, first of all, up against a target with 2,000 health, which is most Hunters, you're losing about 20 damage on the passive for every hit. And that's a lot. Because that'll multiply into your attack speed, and it could be about 40 DPS nerf. And then the second thing is the 10% attack speed is honestly a pretty big hit too. It's still very expensive. So it seems like chin size is intended to be used for chin size characters or maybe to counter health stacking. But it probably wouldn't be a mainstay in Hunter builds anymore. And in Season 1 it was, right? Going into the World Championship, the vast majority of Hunter builds had chin size in them. It's just too much of a DPS increase not to have. You know, you had Unicorn, you had Zapicorn, Baracorn, whatever. And then new build Pegasus came out, and then, you know, PTS and stuff, but whatever. But chin size is just so good. So Hunters potentially not having that now. And then there's the question of how do they kill a character like Geb? How do they kill a character like Hercules or Osiris? And, you know, we'll see. I think that's definitely an important balancing point for Hi-Rez. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on Hunters in Season 1 and Season 2. In Season 2, I'd love to see that clear balance out, and so you have these interesting choices, right? And let's just go through the choices one more time, right? Hu Yi, really cool team fight ult, weak or clear, no global presence, weak self-peel, but pretty good steroid too. AMC, all about the clear lane control, but he can't peel for himself. On her, early pressure, pretty good steroids, no global presence. He sort of does everything. His clear is a little bit weak. Apollo also sort of does everything. He's got the global presence. His clear is bad, but his self-peel and steroids are, well, his self-peel is great. His steroid is pretty good. Artemis, huge DPS from steroids, pretty good clear. Self-peel, but it's not about repositioning. It's just about holding your ground and positioning within the engagement. Cupid, totally unique. He's got this team fighting ult that, in my opinion, Hi-Rez haven't quite figured out how to make work just yet. He's got a little bit of clear. His self-peel is there, but it's not that great. And you know, we'll throw in the hearts in there. They're self-peeled too. They're pretty good. And effectively does have a steroid with how good his heart bomb is. Neith, no steroids, but great self-peel, great clear, global presence. That's definitely interesting. Rama has some steroids. He can clear. He's got the role for the self-peel, and he's got some global presence. So he's really the jack of all trades. And that's going to be hard to balance, but we'll see what happens. Ooh, he's got great burst damage from abilities. He's got good steroids. His self-peel a little bit lacking from the Thorax. His clear a little bit lacking from the Bladed Arrow. He's very mana expensive. And he doesn't have a global ult. So Ul is another more extreme character. And then Xbalanque, hardest hitting carry in the game, has plus 80 physical power. His clear, not that bad. His self-peel, not that bad. He's got a decent global presence. He's just a very different paradigm. And this is a huge misconception. Xbalanque is not the highest DPS hunter. He's actually very far from it. What he does do, yeah, he actually has roughly about the DPS of Apollo in an extended engagement, just comparing the steroids. But what he does do is he hits very hard. So that's another interesting mechanic. Very cool stuff. If they can get this balanced, and I hope they can. I can't wait for the changes in the, you know, whatever changes Hi-Rez is going to make in the next PTS update or whatever they're going to do. I'm super excited for, you know, Season 2. So let me know your thoughts, and let's talk about it. You know, what is the role of a hunter in Season 1, and how do we want them to change going to Season 2? What would be cool to see? I think we've got a nice spread of hunters, right? We've got 10. They're all unique. They're all cool. And, yeah, so Blizzard's coming. I'm going to batten down my hatches. Hopefully I'll have another video up for you tomorrow talking about supports. But for now, see you guys.